Bob Siegfried talked Arnold Schomburg and Jim Yost to start a firm together. Started doing really big work. And then about the same time, Fritz Grupe came, and he wanted to develop this farmland, which became Lincoln Village West. And that was our first big subdivision. I recall Fritz Grupe and Jim Yost. I remember them sitting in Jim's office discussing how they were going to develop Lincoln Village West. Because Lincoln Village West at the time was agricultural, that area that became Lincoln Village West. And Fritz was very innovative and visionary about making what he called a master plan community. You had the residential homes, you had the commercial areas, you had office areas. And the most innovative thing about Lincoln Village West was the construction of the Lincoln Village West Lake, which is a retention basin. Because of the retention basin, it reduced all our storm drainage pipelines. Fritz was very innovative in that he hired architects who actually designed subdivisions that didn't have streets that just went north and south and east and west. You know, it's one of the first subdivisions in the valley, in this part of the country, where the streets curved around a lake. And so you had curvature, and you had a very nice scenic drive from house to house.
Lincoln Village West, if you take a look at where the freeway I-5 goes through and there's what's called Lincoln Village, then everything west of that I called Lincoln Village West just for branding purposes. I wanted to differentiate it. The reason it wasn't developed, it was 4 feet below sea level. And you can't build houses below sea level. Also, it was covered with peat dirt. You can't build on peat dirt. So the first chore was you had to flood protect the whole thing. Well, if you're going to flood protect 5 acres, you got to flood protect it all. So the project was so immense that it required to flood protect all their 750 acres. How do you flood protect the 750 acres with a levee that'll hold and get state approval? Siegfried, Bob Siegfried, was one of the engineers that was a prominent engineer at the time. So I went to see him, and he introduced me to Jim Yost, telling him that I was going to develop this, and so he gave me all the challenges. And what I wanted to do was build a lake, because we built the lake, we could take the water out, build up the levees, and we had extra dirt, so we ended up building the marina too, which became the largest covered slip marina in California. There's 600 and something slips there. Can you imagine Jim Yost, this young engineer, never had the challenge to go out and dig a lake, because there'd been no lakes built in Northern California. Then we dig down and we hit water, so the lake floods. So how do you de-water the lake? Engineering problem. So that time we dug a trench all the way around. Later we found out we could have done it with holes in the ground, which we did in subsequent lakes. First one we did that. And then doing the first underground, working with PG&E to do the first underground deal, engineering challenge. Cable TV, engineering challenge. The next thing is there was no zoning for attached housing then in Stockton. If you have something that people want more of, and we're all sold out of the last one, why not build more for them? So you go from Lincoln Village West, where Quail Lakes, took the whole team. So Jim Yost brought all his people to doing it. They pretty much changed a lot of the image of Stockton.
When Fritz brought the opportunity of Lincoln Village West and quite frankly the innovative idea and the passion that he had for creating this environment for the subdivision, for the users. When he brought that opportunity to us, the fact that Bob Siegfried, Jim Yost, and the other folks at Siegfried jumped at the chance to work on the project, embraced ideas that hadn't been done before, being able to then follow through on the project and hit that milestone. It was a growth milestone, from a standpoint of the size of the project and the duration of the project and the fact that it allowed Siegfried as a company to grow in so many ways. The lesson that's learned in there that is deeply ingrained in all of the Siegfried team members, and especially myself, having learned those lessons early on from my mentors and from other principals that were there at that time, is that the reputation of the company is built on your ability to rise to the challenge and solve that problem. That's what we are as engineers, landscape architects, structural engineers, geotechnical engineers, grant writers, surveyors, whatever it is that we're doing. Our job is to solve problems, meet the challenges head on, be innovative, push those boundaries of how we're going to solve those challenges. But the lesson that just ripples forward is that the fact that they said, we can do that. Even though they hadn't figured it out yet, they said, we can do that. That is just built into us. That is our reputation. People know, our clients know, that when they ask us a question, we may not have an answer right away, but we will find the answer. We will come up with an answer. And that has propelled Siegfried for 70 years, that if you have a challenge, you come to us and we'll find a way to solve your challenge.